it's Marie with Marie's Cards and More. So here's the next card that I've made, kind of for beginners, maybe a little bit more advanced because we're going to do some die cutting. But die cutting's easy. You just do have to buy the dies in the cut and emboss machine. So let me just show you. It's another step up. You could stamp these. I mean, I am going to stamp them, and you could fussy cut around it. You could stamp and fussy cut around the butterflies. It would be this piece here that you would have a little harder time. So for this, you could, there's not really a stamp for it, so you could, instead of using this piece, you could do like the flowers. Let me show you the stamp set. This is if you don't have a cut and emboss machine. You could maybe do something like these flowers and then cut around it, fussy cut around it. That would probably be what I would do. But I'm going to show you this. Okay. So what all did I have to make this card? Well, let's see here. Here are all of the products. Okay, I have a white card base, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have a panel, and again, I have not changed my cutting blade, so it's doing this little feathering. Like I showed you before, you could either take your fingernail, if you have fingernails, or you could take an emery board on the fine side and get rid of those. So let's glue this down. Always want to make sure we have the card base opening the correct way. Of course, on the first layer, it's not a big deal. Actually, I guess probably on this card, it wouldn't be a big deal either way. But let's make sure it opens correctly. Good habit to have. Okay, there we go. And then I've got the cardstock, and again, I'm using the Moonlit Flora Designer Series paper. And I'm going to put this way. Now, I could do that. That would be pretty too, but not what I'm going to do. At least not this time. So let's add this panel. Now, where did I get this idea for this card? I looked in the upcoming new catalog, and they had this card. So you know what? You don't have to create everything from scratch. Stampin' Up! Has this thing called Copy and Share Everything, which is called Case, so case a card. So you could certainly case a card. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stamp. I'm going to stamp, this time I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday, if I could find it. There it is. I always need birthday cards. I'm going to use Memento black ink after I dump it on. Hang on a minute. Remember how I said everything I have has ink on it? Well, now you know why. Sometimes I'm very clumsy. That's why I always have some kind of pad or scratch paper. I'm going to use this grid. I'm going to use on this side to see if I can kind of keep it straight, kind of, sort of. And of course, I have two things in my way. I have a camera and I have a light. So fingers crossed this will be straight. Not bad, not bad at all. Let's cover this up before I thump it over again. Okay, get that out of the way. So now I can glue these two pieces together, depending on how much of the yellow that I want, or I'm sorry, the golden glow. That is the right color, isn't it? Yes, golden glow, had to look. So I'm going to just take my glue and run a little strip like that. And I'm going to take this strip, kind of marry them up. Like that. Okay. We'll set that to the side. So both of these things are going to stay over to the side. Let's cover up my glue. So now we're going to stamp the other pieces that we're going to die cut. So we're going to stamp, here he is, this big guy. And for him, we're going to use Mossy Meadow. No, we're not. We're using Old Olive. Old Olive. So I'm going to stamp him up. I have a large block. Kind of look at it, make sure I like what I see. But it's going to be die cut out. So I'm going to come in here and just give it, like I said, just, you know, a little bit of time. Can you tell the other color I already got all over me? You know, some days I wonder about myself. Let's clean that off. Who else is an inky mess when you start stamping and inking? And it's just, I don't understand it myself, but it's me. Sorry, that was my drawer opening. I already got more ink on me. Drop that down. Okay, so there's that one. And then here's another sheet. And for this one, we're going to get these little guys. And for them, we're going to use the Peaceful Pine. Now, I don't have my large stamp pads yet. So in another video, I showed you how, well, maybe I didn't show you how, but I told you how. I take the uninked ink spots and I make a set of inks. So how do I do that? Well, I use the re-inkers and I buy these uninked ink spots. I think they're like $10 for 5. And then I just, you know, use the re-inker and fill up the little pad. I make me a little cheat. I just cut out a little circle, put the ink on it, I put the name on it, and then I have a, I think it's like a jewelry organizer box, and I just put all my little inks in there. And then those are the ones that I use when I teach a class, or when I travel, or when I have friends that don't like the big ink blocks. I have a couple of friends that they just find the smaller ones to be easier, so that's good. Now I'm going to make my little butterfly, and that one I'm doing the golden glow. And again, I don't have that large. And I'm going to clean that off. And then I'm going to use Secret C. That was the color that was on my finger. When I opened up the pad, I just stuck my finger right in it. I sure hope I'm not the only one that's an inky mess. I did this. When I was closing this, I went, don't do that. Okay. I think that's all of the stamping. So now what am I going to do? All right, I'm going to show you. See how on this it's filled in and this one's not? Now you could leave it that way, or same with this. See how that's got the color in it and that one doesn't. I'm going to show you how I did that. The blender pen. So you can take some of the inks, you can just take the blender pen and right away you can drag the ink. Some inks respond better than others, and you can come in here and just grab the, you know, the ink that you use to stamp it down, and then you could make much lighter. Or you can do what I did, and I just stuck my ink pad onto one of my blocks, and then I can come in here and kind of smooth it out and pick up some of this ink, this color, and I can make a darker color. So let's see how quickly we could do this. So this is using the blender pen. Now this is water-based ink. So you could use the water painter or a watercolor brush. And I'm going to do part of this with the blender pen. And then I'll reach over and get my watercolor brush. Maybe. I mean, it's water-based ink. I did want to show you the blender pen in action. Now, I think I've said before in other videos, my favorite part of making cards is the coloring. I love to paint. I love any different medium that I can create with. If you don't like coloring, that's okay. You don't have to. You could have left it white. I keep dragging it closer to me. Sometimes you have to look at it and go, is that really a leaf or not? And the closer I get up to this, I mean, I could do it pretty quickly. Now, I'm not trying to fill it in, you know, precisely. I mean, you certainly could. All right, just a little bit more over here. So this is the blender pen. Hang on, I'm reaching for my watercolors. And let's see which, oops. I have different water brushes. Hang on, don't go away, give me a minute. That's the one I want. It never is the first one. You can get different sizes. Okay, blender pen, here's a water brush. I'm just going to squeeze some out of my hand just to get it damp. Now, when you're using regular cardstock, you do not want a lot of water, okay? You'll pill the paper. But see, I could come in here. So if you don't have blending brushes or blending pens, but you do have a watercolor brush, you can use the slightest amount of water and do the same thing. Okay. So I'm going to just put a teeny weeny bit of water. I'm kind of getting a little dry, but I'm going to take most of it off because, again, I don't want too much water. Now, the other thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to scrub. What does that mean? Well, going back and forth. I don't want to go like that. With either the watercolor brush or the blender pen. Because when you do that, you're going to make the paper pill or peel or ball up, whatever you want to call it. And see how I can change the colors by how much water I use or how strong of the ink that I get. See, I went back and I got a stronger part of it. Basically more. Okay. So that's using your watercolor brush. I'm going to just clean it by squeezing it, hopefully not over there, and rubbing it off. I'm going to go back to the blender pen. So watercolor brush or a blender pen, either one. Now you may like the blender pen better because, you know, the watercolor brush has little filaments and you may have more control over the blender pen. It's kind of like an alcohol marker. The tips remind me the same of kind of the broad tip of an alcohol marker or a Stampin' Blend. Oops, I need to get a little more. Almost done. Hang in there. If you get a little too much color, you can always wipe it off. Now you know me, I can't ever leave anything alone. Okay, there's that. I'm going to set that to the side. Then I'm just going to take my blender pen and wipe it off. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with this guy, but instead of using the old olive, I'm using the Peaceful Pine, and I just put the littlest bit on this one, on this little block, because I do not need much. So I am very quickly adding a little bit of color. So what do y'all think? Think this is something that you want to do, or you're like, nope. I like your other video where you just use the paper. Okay, so that was quick. Put the cap back on. Get those completely out of the way. All right. So for my little butterflies, that's not what I'm going to. My little butterflies, I'm going to use a Wink of Stella, which is liquid, and it has the glitter in it. So guess what it's going to do? Same thing as if I would have used the blender pen or water. And I'm going to just come in, kind of give the whole butterfly a little bit of color. And not only is it giving a little bit of color, it's giving it a little sparkle because it's a Wink of Stella. And yes, you can get those. Let's Stamp It Up. All right, so let's move all this stuff out of the way. All of our things. Okay. Well, those two kind of dry. They're not really wet. I'm going to come in with the dies. So this is a coordinating dies that goes with the Fern and Flora stamp set. And it has all these different dies in there. So I'm going to use this die on my Secret Sea cardstock to get that one just die cut piece. And I'm going to use my small cut and emboss machine. You know, I still haven't changed out the plates, so I know they look dirty. Hey, it's just colored cardstock. Quick little run through, flip over my plates. This one kind of got stuck, and there that is. Put him up. Always put your dies away or in a magnetic bowl or something so they don't get mixed in with trash. All right, so now I'm going to cut out, let's move him. I'm going to cut out this piece here. Controller. Okay. So I'm going to take my die and kind of line them up. Hopefully that's good. I'm going to use some tear and tape. I've shown you that before. Press it down. Stagger my plates on my mini or stair step. Flip, flip, poke him out. There he is. Step him to the side. That to the side. I'm going to use that tape again. I stick it on my lamppost. I need this one and this one. So now I can cut out one of my little butterflies. And one of these little guys. Now sometimes until you, oops, sorry, hit the pole there. Sometimes until you get used to your dies, you're not exactly sure where to put them. So you may not get, you know, a perfect cut the first time, but just keep working with it. It's okay. They're handmade cards. Handmade cards are not going to be perfect. And each card might be a little bit different, but that's what makes them special. So let's see. Yeah, that turned out pretty well. Let's look at the butterfly. Yep, he looks good. I'm gonna put my plate that way. Okay. And now let's do this one. About there. Maybe we'll look at again. Okay, let's peel him up. So as you can see, you can use this Post-it tape over and over. I think that looks good, I hope. Oops, sorry, hit my drawer. I have long legs, and I'm always hitting my knees. Okay. All right. Let's see what kind of damage I did this time. Looks pretty good. And he looks good. So you see why I say take this off immediately? Because if you didn't, you might accidentally think that was trash and throw it away. And then you will be sad. So I'm putting them back right away onto their magnetic sheet. So there's all sorts of neat things. We'll make more later. Okay. So let's get all of our pieces back. Now, I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals. And remember, dimensionals just add what the word says, dimension. Just pops things up. They're sticky on both sides. One side has, you know, a little tape. Now, do you like it like that? I think I'm going to cut this down a little bit. I think I want it a tad bit smaller. Or, yeah, a little smaller. Not quite as wide. I could have cut that off before I put the dimensionals, but it's okay. So you see that I tried to pick that up. Yeah, I like it better like that. Okay. So then I just have to figure out how I want all of these little guys. So I kind of put those two together. So I'm going to put a little glue. And I'm going to kind of put those two together like that. Okay. And then they will probably go something like that. And then I will most likely put him down. And then that one down. Now, it's okay if you go outside of the panel. You just don't want to go outside of the card. Otherwise, it won't fit in the envelope. Now, I am going to try to pick these up this way. I'm taking the backer off. Okay. And we'll just see. I'm going to put that like that. Just trying to see if I could pick those up. And we'll see if it works. And if it doesn't work, it's not a big deal. Oops. Oh, look. Almost, almost, almost. Let go. There we go. Now, sometimes I do things like that because I don't want to have to recreate the layer that I just did. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Then I come and I put glue on what I think is going to kind of glue down. And I'll flip him over. And I'll come back and put it back down. And then I pick it up because I never get anything straight. Okay. It'll work. Okay. Then I'm going to come and put just a little glue under these. And I mean a little. You don't want too much glue. And if you're using the Tombow Multi, if it dries and it hasn't adhered two things together, it's sticky, and so you don't want anything sticky. So remember to mind your glue. And then comes my little butterflies. So I'm going to take this one and put glue here, and he's going to kind of set off like that. And then this little guy will go, I think he's going to go like that this time. There. Okay. So there's that. And now what do I want to do? I'm going to get my Wink of Stella again, if I can find it. Here it is. Now I already put the Wink of Stella on the butterflies, but I am going to come in and add just a tiny bit to this Secret Sea one, just to add a little sparkle. Not much. All right, so that's two versions. So yeah, that's right. So which one do you like better? I think I like the first one better, where I put the Secret Sea on top of that one. But you know, I rarely make two cards exactly the same. All right, so what did we use? Well, we used the Moonlight Flora Designer Series paper, which I've showed you. We used the Fern and Flora photopolymer stamp set. We used the Stampin' Cut, the Fern and Flora dies. For the sentiment, I got the Happy Birthday out of Banner Sayings. A little happy birthday. And so there are the cards. I hope that you enjoyed watching this. I certainly hope that you branch out and enjoy your stamping, but that you can go one step further and do some die cutting. And again, if you wanted to make this without die cutting, you certainly could. You could stamp, you know, the flower, one of the flowers, and die cut it out. Oh, excuse me, and fussy cut it out. So instead of that one, you could put something like that. You could put the flowers in there. So you could stamp it, color on it, and then fussy cut it out. So I'm sure I'm going to make some. I'm not going to fussy cut though. That's why I have a stamp cut and emboss machine. I do not like fussy cutting. Alrighty, so there is both cards. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, you want to do something on the inside? You certainly could. You could stamp that on the inside. That would be pretty. You could put one of those on there. You could stamp that. And then you could color. I wouldn't use alcohol markers or the Stampin' Blends because they will bleed through, and they will bleed through to the back. But you could stamp it with the black, and then, or I would probably stamp it with Old Olive. Hey, why don't we do that? We got time. It's only 34 minutes. Hang on. Let's try one of them. Y'all know I never leave anything alone. I'm going to do it on this one. Here. Don't want to use Old Olive. I think I'm going to use Old Olive. Here. I'm going to stamp it in Old Olive. Okay. I'll get my bearings in just a minute. All right. So let's open this card up. Let's just see. Let's see what y'all think. Okay. And I'm going to put it right here. Okay. I'm going to close this up. I'm going to come back with my blender pen. Let's get him out of the way. I'm going to come back with my blender pen, and I'm going to color the leaves. Just like this. Oh, good grief. Get in the camera, sorry. So sorry. As you could probably tell, I like things closer to me. Hey, the older you get, the more you can't see. So, all right, I have this one here. Okay, I think that's all. Oh, one more leaf. You see that one sneaked? It snuck. It was, whoops, let's get a little more. It was being sneaky, wasn't it? Okay, let's clean that off. I don't want a green blossom. Now, what color? Let's do the golden glow. Remember my little block? Ooh, that's a lot. Didn't mean to get that much. I just inked those up, so I'm gonna do a test here. Okay. Can you see? Yep, okay. And again, very lightly. Now try not to go over the green lines, because remember, it's just gonna pull it in to your color. So you have to be a little more precise with this. And you know, it's okay if you're not exact. I don't think it's going to cause any great harm. It'll just kind of muddy up your color a little bit. Now you could use the watercolor pencils just as a pencil and not add water. You could do that. Let's see, it's pretty easy with the blender pen not to grab that ink, the green, because it has a pretty fine point. Now I'm not going to get a whole lot of shading. Still, yep, okay. I had to make sure I didn't move out of the camera. Put a little dot in the middle. You know, sometimes having things on the inside of your card just elevates your card one more level. All right. And you know I told you how I like the color, so of course I had to find some way that I could color on this card even more. All right, I'm going to add just a tad bit darker. I know y'all are going, stop. All right, almost done. Okay, now you gotta give it a minute to dry. So what do you think? I'm gonna wipe this off before I get color everywhere. All right. I'm just cleaning off the blender pen for the next time. So what do you think? That's going to be the inside, and that's that. I think that's pretty, just like that. Now you could come in and ground it by just, you know, doing a little ink blending, but we're going to stop. Okay, stop. Stop, Marie, stop. All right, here's the card. So there they both are. This one, I have not done anything on the inside. This one, I just couldn't leave it alone. And I came in, I stamped, and I used the blender pen to add some of the ink or the colors in there. So now, tell me which one you like. Leave a comment. Tell me if you're going to try to recreate this card or make something similar. Again, you get the ideas. Once you get your Stampin' Up! Catalog, look in the catalog. There's tons of ideas. And it'll help you get started, and then you'll be able to just proceed forward and make all sorts of designs on your own. So until next time, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. You can check me out on my Facebook page. And I hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Have a great day. Until next time, bye for now.